There is something occupying your mind more than it should. And even if you don't say it out loud, it's there every single day. The future. You can't see it. You can't control it. And yet, you keep trying to anticipate everything. You think about what could go wrong, about what might not work, about decisions you haven't even made yet. And little by little, without even realizing it, you start living more in what could happen than in what is happening right now. And that is exhausting. It's exhausting because your mind never rests, because your heart doesn't feel at peace, because it always feels like something is missing. But there is something most people never realize. It's not the future that is stealing your peace. It's the way you are trying to face it. And this is where everything begins to change. Because Jesus spoke exactly about this, and what he said completely changes the way you see your life. At one point, Jesus said something that goes beyond time. Something that was not just a phrase, but a direct answer to the anxiety many people feel today. Do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. And at first glance, it might seem like a beautiful idea. A phrase that sounds good, but hard to apply. Because when you are inside uncertainty, when you don't know what will happen, when it feels like everything could change at any moment, not worrying feels impossible. But Jesus was not ignoring reality. He was not saying that the future doesn't matter. He was revealing something much deeper, because the problem was never tomorrow. The problem is what you do today with what you feel about tomorrow. It's how you allow thoughts that are not even real yet to control emotions that are very real. And that is where many people begin to lose their peace, not because of what is happening, but because of what they imagine could happen. And when you understand this, you begin to realize something that completely changes your perspective. Because if you're honest with yourself, you'll begin to realize something that might feel uncomfortable. But it's true many times. You're not tired because of what you're going through. You're tired because of what you're thinking. About scenarios that don't even exist yet. About problems that haven't happened. About situations that are only in your mind. But your body already feels as if they were real. And that drains you. It drains you because your mind doesn't fully distinguish between what is real and what you constantly imagine. And that's where a dangerous cycle begins. You think, you worry, you tense up, you lose peace, and then you think even more. And without realizing it, you end up living in a future that hasn't even arrived. But this is where a truth comes in that changes everything. Jesus never taught people to ignore life. He taught them to live it differently. Not from fear, not from control, but from trust. And this is not something superficial. This completely changes the way you face each day. Because when you begin to understand this, you realize that the problem was never the future. The problem is the constant need for control. Because deep down, many people are not really looking for peace. They are looking for certainty. They want to know what's going to happen. They want to guarantee that everything will work out. They want to avoid pain before it even appears. And that seems logical. But there is something most people don't realize. Control gives a false sense of security. But at the same time, it is what feeds anxiety the most. Because the more you try to control everything, the more you realize you can't. And that internal struggle is what drains you. It's what keeps your mind running non-stop. It's what makes your heart feel heavy. Because you are trying to hold something that was never in your hands. And this is where Jesus' teaching truly makes sense. Because trust is not about stopping your thoughts. It's about stopping carrying what was never yours to carry. It's understanding that there are things you can act on, and others you simply need to surrender. And when you begin to make that distinction, something inside you starts to change. Because the moment you stop trying to control everything, your mind begins to breathe. Not because your problems disappear, not because the future suddenly becomes clear, but because you stop fighting something that is not yours to control. And that completely changes your experience. Because you are no longer living in constant tension. You no longer need to have all the answers. You are no longer carrying a weight that was never meant for you. And it's at that point that something that once felt impossible begins to happen. peace shows up. Not a peace based on external certainty, but an internal, stable, deep peace. A peace that doesn't depend on what will happen, but on who you are trusting. And this is what many people take years to understand. It's not control that gives you calm, it's trust. Because when you trust, you stop expecting the worst, you stop living in constant alert, you stop exhausting your mind, and you begin to live in a lighter way, more present, more real. But here is something important. This does not happen overnight, because trusting is not something you decide once, and that's it. It's a process that is built day by day, thought by thought, decision after decision. Because for a long time, your mind learned to anticipate problems, to imagine negative scenarios, to seek control as a way to feel safe. And that doesn't change overnight. That's why many people feel frustrated. They try to trust, but they go back to worrying. They try to let go, but they end up carrying everything again. And they feel like they are failing. But they are not failing. They are in the process. Because learning to trust is not about never feeling fear. It's about not being controlled by it. It's about remembering, again and again, that not everything depends on you. And that is not weakness. It's a different way of living, a lighter way, more aware, more aligned. And when you begin to understand this, you stop demanding perfection from yourself, and you start allowing yourself to move forward step by step. Because real change does not happen all at once. It happens through small steps that over time change everything. And this is where many people begin to feel like they need something more. Not more information, not more theories, but a way to apply this in real life. Because understanding all of this is just the beginning. The real change happens when you start practicing it. When in the middle of your thoughts, you remember to let go. When in the middle of uncertainty, you choose to trust. When even without answers, you decide to keep moving forward. And that kind of transformation does not happen automatically. It is built with intention, with direction, with small daily steps. That's why many people, when they reach this point, start looking for guidance, something that walks with them, that reminds them, that helps them stay consistent in the process. Because when you have structure, everything becomes clearer, simpler, more possible, and you begin to feel like you're not alone in this journey, but actually moving forward with purpose. And if you've made it this far, it's not a coincidence, because there is something inside you that is searching for understanding, that is searching for peace, that is searching for direction. Maybe you've been feeling this way for a while, like something isn't fully in place, like you're moving forward, but without clarity, like you're doing everything, but still not feeling at peace. And that hurts. It hurts because on the outside, everything might look normal, but on the inside, there's noise, there are doubts, there's exhaustion, and many times, you don't even know how to explain it. You just feel like you need something different, something that helps you organize your mind, calm your heart, and feel stable again. And here is the truth. You are not broken. You are not lost. You are not late. You are in a process that, even if you don't fully understand it now, has meaning. And when you begin to see it that way, something inside you stops resisting and slowly begins to trust. And maybe what you needed today was not a complete answer, but a different perspective, a way to see your situation, not from fear, but from trust. Because when you change the way you interpret what you're going through, everything begins to feel different. What once felt like uncertainty starts to feel like a process. What once felt like loss of control starts to feel like growth. And what once created anxiety slowly begins to create peace. Not because everything suddenly got resolved, but because you changed the way you face it. And that changes everything, because life will not always be clear. The future will not always be predictable, but the way you experience it can change. And when you choose to trust, even without understanding, you begin to walk differently, lighter, stronger, more aware. And at that point, you no longer need to control everything, because you begin to trust the one who does. So remember this. You don't need to have everything figured out today. You don't need to understand every step. You don't need to control what hasn't even happened yet. You just need to trust. Trust that there is a purpose, even if you can't see it yet. Trust that you are being guided, even if you don't feel it all the time. Trust that what feels confusing today will make sense tomorrow, because God is already in the future you are worried about, and that should bring you peace. But that kind of trust is not built in a single moment. It is built daily, through small decisions, through constant reminders, through direction. And if you feel like this is your moment, that you need to organize your mind, strengthen your faith, and learn how to trust even in uncertainty, there is something in the description that can guide you through this process, not as an obligation, but as a guide. And if this message spoke to you, write in the comments, "God is with me."